Tommy Kilpatrick is not your average financial author. He's a legal linguist and freedom fighter in the world of credit and commerce. After inheriting a dormant charity, Tommy rebranded it into a movement of economic awakening, helping over 1,000 clients dismantle their so-called credit card debt without stepping foot in a courtroom. His breakthrough book, Forgive and Forget: How to Nuke Your Credit Card Debt, shakes the foundation of traditional banking narratives, urging readers to question every signature, every statement, and every illusion of debt. Featured on 60 podcasts, Tommy's message cuts through confusion with calm conviction and humor. He's not teaching credit repair. He's revealing financial self-defense through language, law, and logic. His goal: help people stop paying back money that was never loaned in the first place. So help me welcome Tommy Kilpatrick to the Revolutionary Hour segment of Boss Radio.
When Tommy Kilpatrick says banks can't issue real credit cards, it sounds impossible, or at least implausible. He insists that everything we believe in about credit, debt, and banking is built on linguistic illusion. His proof? Over 1,000 clients who he says have walked away from alleged credit card debt simply by changing their words and through their understanding of law. It's an audacious claim in an age of fine print and financial regulation, but Tommy's energy isn't combative. It's calm, confident, and oddly freeing. He challenges listeners not to believe in, but to verify through their own CPA, attorney, or even logic. Now, this conversation isn't about taking sides. It's about asking, if languages defines law, can redefining your words redefine your financial reality? And could Tommy be right that we could call credit card debt might never have existed in the first place? Well, we're going to definitely touch on that. And we have to you today, Tommy Kilpatrick. How you doing today, sir?
Doing fantastic. I'm excited to be here.
Perfect. I'm glad you reached out to us. I've been looking at everything that you have been doing, man, and it is very intriguing. But I got to say, man, it's kind of scary at the same time. I mean, we got people it's a lot of people that are actually getting in trouble for attempting things that are similar to what you're talking about right now. But from what you're saying, with 1,000 people walking away, I had to find out, man, exactly what you're talking about and see if this thing was real for myself. So let's go ahead and start with the obvious. I mean, it sounds revolutionary and reckless. Why should anyone believe that credit card debt is even an illusion?
I'm a doubting Thomas, so I invite you and your audience to also be a doubting Thomas. So don't believe a single word I say today, okay? In the show notes, I have some links so you can verify what I'm saying is true, but send this podcast to your CPA or anyone who's had one class of accounting, and they'll tell you I'm right, even though I may never thought of it this way, because one, the bank does not have an invoice, so you don't have a debt with the bank, and you never signed a promissory note, so there is no loan. And fraud undoes all contracts. So when you use the card, you got to comply to their terms and conditions, not when there's fraud involved. So I'm saying that you are a crime victim, and I am your victim right advocate. So I'm here to tell you that you are not in debt. You are actually a victim of a crime committed by the banks worldwide. So this is not just in the USA.
Oh, wow. So you mean to tell me that we're not just dealing with criminals inside of the United States boundaries, but these criminals have transcended globally?
Banks are global. Banks are banksters. So what do you expect? And like you said, law is language and language is law. So if you use the word credit card debt, you've got debt. There's nothing I can do to help you. But let me ask you a question there. Is it possible that you, your audience, and me too, have been lied to, indoctrinated, and brainwashed? Is it possible?
Well, I mean, I've seen some people do some stuff that I wouldn't be able to explain my damn self. So the only thing I can even bring to mind is maybe they was brainwashed to doing something that doesn't make sense. But you say that law is language, man. Like, what does that mean in practice?
Right. You see, this is where it is. So we've been lied to. Well, you can tell a lie is a lie, but what happens if it's generationally? Eric, from your mommy, this is a credit card, and I got it from the bank. They loaned me the money, and I have to pay it back. And if they don't pay it, they'll sue me. And so that's generationally been lied to. So now this what I call indoctrination. And if you don't question it, then you're brainwashed. So what I am dealing with are brainwashed attorneys, judges. The whole system is brainwashed. So that's how it's so difficult to deal with these people. But a lie is a lie, since all we got to start off with is there are true credit cards. Okay, so this is not a get out of debt scheme. This is not that way at all. It's not things like bills of exchange or playing games around that they don't have the debt and they don't own the debt. No, it's not a debt at all. So that's where we start with.
Okay, so you're saying that this word debt, this one word, can be so like frustrating. It could be so misleading. Where's the proof that one word could change your legal standing?
Oh, sure. So what we want to do is add one word, is the word allege. We watch television and we see a bank robbery and they always say alleged bank robber, okay? Because we assume innocence. So that's where the same thing. I'm asking you to add the word alleged credit card. Now you're putting the burden on the bank to prove that there's a debt. So if you go into court and you use the words of the criminal, the bank, you're going to lose every time. If you say you've got credit card debt, you got it. There's nothing I can do to help you. But if you say the word alleged, now we can start the questioning. Now you're no longer brainwashed. You might be indoctrinated, but let's work out these lies and start telling the truth. The truth is the banks could never have issued a credit card.
Oh wow, man! You saying that word allege? I remember I used to get in trouble a lot when I was young, or I allegedly got in trouble a lot when I was younger, man. Like, okay, so I'm hearing the word allege, and but for me and my experience with the law, with judges and courthouses and stuff like that, they always stuck this stuff to me. It was like that word allege didn't really mean what it actually read in the dictionary. How do you actually like reconcile that with these judges? Like, what happens when a judge disagrees with your interpretation?
Oh, well, yeah, let me just kind of then tell you the story because this is perfect introduction. So in 2004, I had written a book on health and healing. And I was given an infomercial contract. So I was booked on the radio for about 6 months. I had to live on my credit cards for about 6 months. And I ran up about $85,000 of credit card debt. And you think, wow, how'd you do all that? Well, I was promised about $100,000 a month that I was going to make from this infomercial deal. So it was going great. And then all of a sudden, one of the talents got in trouble with the FTC, making claims that wasn't true, and the company canceled all the new talent. So I was left with $85,000 of credit card debt. I had a father-in-law at the time, was an attorney and a judge, and we decided to file a federal lawsuit against the banks. So I went into court and doing things were going great. And then what I thought was going to be a simple thing, it turned out to be not that true. So like your experience, the judge said, Mr. Kilpatrick, do you have a credit card? I said, let me start at the beginning. Oh, we'll start at the beginning a little later. Do you have a credit card? And I went, oh, well, it started off as a gift card. A gift card? Pull your card out. So I pulled the card out. What's it say right there? Credit card. You are an idiot. Get out of here. And he dismissed all three cases. So I have lived it. But the difference is a month later, I looked at my credit report and all three banks, the credit cards were off my credit report. I had to score like 525 in the toilet. It jumped up to like 650 right away because they took off those three derogatory items. And I never got sued. I never had to pay anything. So that was learning that it was not a debt. It's a crime they're committing.
Oh wow. See, and they make it seem like you're committing a crime. Like, how would you say to critics who say you're encouraging people to not play legitimate debts? And how do you respond to that accusation?
Oh, yeah. Well, let's talk about that. There are true credit cards. So, Eric, you want tires for your car. Okay. You go to a tire store. You find out how much it is, but you got to have them. Oh, Eric, why don't you fill out an in-store credit card application, see if you're approved? You are. So you drive away and you didn't pay for those tires, did you? Right? You didn't pay for them. You didn't pay for the service to be balanced and put on your car. At the end of the month, you're going to get a statement, and that's true. They're going to have an outstanding unpaid invoice, which is true. You owe the money, Eric. You have to pay because a tire store put their tires on your car. They did the service for you, and you drove away without paying. You have to pay that one. But then you say, well, Tommy, I showed you my Walmart purchase of tires They put the tires on my car, and you're saying you don't owe it? No, you don't. What's the difference? A store credit card is a true credit card. A bank issued credit card is not a credit card because they did not sell tires to you. They're not a service. So they never could have issued a credit card.
So you're saying pretty much without the service and the goods, there's no reason to be even issuing credit in the first place.
Think about this. Go back 100 years. You're there in Texas, and you go into the general store with the Western down and everything, and then you say, "Hey Charlie, can I have 5 pounds of flour and a pound of sugar?" "Oh sure, Eric. Your crops are coming in when?" They're coming in another couple of weeks." "Yeah, I know. You pay me every year." So that's the way it worked. Now, if you say, "Hey Charlie, can I borrow $10,000?" What am I, a bank? I'm not a bank. I don't have any money. All the money I bought was flour and sugar that you've got that you owe me. So everybody owes everybody. See, so you go to a bank to get a loan. You don't go to a bank to get tires. So they don't have an invoice. That's the thing that woke up. The bank does not have I don't have a debt. If you say you have a debt, you've got a debt. But I don't have a debt because where's the debt instrument? Where's the invoice?
Wow. So you're saying I've been pretty much lying on myself.
You have been lied to and indoctrinated and brainwashed until today, now that you're questioning it. So you have been lied to and you've been indoctrinated, and now we're working out the lies. So here is the biggest lie is you owe money to the bank. Because no, it's a loan. So they don't have an invoice. There is no debt. Now, you don't have an experience that I have because I was in school to be a certified public accountant. Even though I never got the credential, I can do the work of one. My first job was an accountant. The CFO, which is a CPA, came over to me and put a finger in my face and said, "If you pay from a statement, I'm going to fire you." And he did that very mean and cruel, but that's in my mind. He was a very nice guy, but he had to impress upon me, never pay from a statement. Because he said, we always are making deals. And so you don't know if that's not a true debt. We could have paid them last week and they don't have it. So we only pay from an invoice and only by approved. See over here, the department head approves it. Because in the recent news, there was a guy who sent invoices to Apple Computer and Microsoft with vendor looking like invoices, and he got paid millions of dollars. This guy scammed them because they didn't verify. They just paid the invoice. So you never pay from an invoice, and that's what the experience I had. So if there's no debt, if there's no invoice, there's no owing. You don't owe the money.
Wow, that's man. I don't even know if you saw my face just now, man. It was like I get it. I see what you're saying, but in practice, it seems like it's very it's unforgivable. Like there's so many processes that are put in place that stops us from even claiming our own money, let alone not being able to pay something that they say we owe. How do we look at the people that are telling us from the bank that we owe a certain debt when we don't? Do we look at them as the enemy? Do we look at them as ill-informed agents of the enemy? How do we look at these people?
Well, first of all, they're called banksters for a reason. So, yes, what you're dealing with are criminals and you are a crime victim. I am not trying to get you out of debt. That's not what I do. What I'm trying to do is wake you up and to have you understand that you are a crime victim. I am your victim's rights advocate. So I'm trying to educate you that one, the bank does not have an invoice. If they don't have an invoice, they don't have a debt. So you write a letter to the bank saying, if I owe you money, please send me an unpaid outstanding invoice. And let me verify it's correct and I'll pay you. We're not trying to get out of debt. What I'm trying to do is get you out of being a victim. So this is what happens is that when the bank has banks are only involved in loans. Okay, so if we can establish right now, they never could have issued a credit card because credit is issued by merchants or service providers that let you walk out of their place without paying with basically a promise to pay it back. And that's with an invoice. So the bank never did that. So we take that off the shelf. So they never could have issued a credit card. So they're involved in loans. Okay, revolving credit. That's fine. Let me ask you a question, Eric. If you apply for a loan at a bank and they turn you down, do you still get the loan?
No,
No,
I
you
don't.
don't get the loan. You're turned down. That's important for me to say that because if you're approved, then you go into the bank and you fill out loan documents. You remember that page after page of loan documents. You have to prove you have an income because how are you going to pay this loan back? Obviously, in the application, you made it appear that you could pay it back. So you said you had a job, but now you've got to bring in your pay stubs. You got to prove that you actually have an income. Because think about this, the bank is brought into court and the judge says, you're loaning money to people who don't have an income? That's predatory. So the bank has to have you prove that you have an income. Okay. Now, what if you don't pay the loan back? They have to have collateral like your house, your car, or let's say you go for a personal loan, you put your yacht up as collateral. That's legally how they can take your property away from you. Now, we've seen those TV shows of Repo Man and stuff like that, and they call the police. Police, they're stealing my car. Man, was that a repo? Yeah. We're not coming out. We're going to come out there to protect the repo guy from you. But no, they're taking your car away legally and they're going to sell it. And if they come up short, that's too bad for the bank, right? But if they come up long, they got to pay you back the difference. They don't get to keep the money. So if you don't have a collateral, then how are you going to pay this loan back? Now you have to have a credit report, and your credit score determines your interest rate. But the last thing you sign is a promise to pay it back. That's called a promissory note. And that's what's required for them to issue a loan. And that is in your second show notes, in your second link, is a book I read called Modern Money Mechanics in Accounting's class that says the banks accept your promissory note, then they write numbers in your free checking account. And that's how you get a loan. So that's what they're doing. They're writing numbers in an account, but that is if you have an income, you have a collateral, and you have your credit score and all the credit report. That doesn't happen in a bank issued alleged credit card.
Wow. Man, you said so
Yeah.
much just now. And with me having a little bit of prior knowledge to this, it set off a lot of red flags. The one thing that set off a red flag was the word promissory note. What it had me thinking about is the things that we have in our wallet, these little devices that is made out of cotton. I don't know if everybody can see it. This little thing here.
Yeah.
I heard that this
Yeah.
is a promissory note.
Look at the word. It says note. Note, it's a Federal Reserve note. Note means it's an IOU. It is a bill. It's a dollar bill, but it's a bill. Someone owed somebody something with a bill and they paid it with this IOU. They gave that IOU to you. And now you're going to give the IOU to me. I'm going to pass it to somebody else. It's all bills. It's all notes. It's all promises to pay, which there's nothing backing it.
Which brings me to my next question. How am I giving a promissory note in the form of a deposit to a bank in order for them to give me promissory notes back in the form of a loan and then say I'm in debt? How does that work? Isn't that already part of the standard banking model? Like, I'm missing something here.
In the first show note, there's a link there to a legal website. There are other websites that'll be counter this, but you go to a legal website and you can do multiple ones. They all say you do not make a deposit. So if you have no money, you go into a bank, hopefully you're going to come out with money through a loan, not with a gun, but with a loan. And so when you take money and put it into the bank and leave it there, it's actually a loan to the bank. So that's what you're doing. You do not make deposits. You are loaning money to the bank. And that's how this whole scheme is happening. Let me take you back a little bit. Look it up yourself. 1776 to present inflation rate. And you're going to see in America, it was flat. It was flat for all those, a little bit for a war, back to being flat. And all of a sudden, World War II, it shot straight up. What has happened before that is that we had amount of money in the economy, gold and silver is defined by the Constitution, and we had goods and services. And so if there were more goods and services and less money, well, then sometimes the money would increase in value. So you could buy more with it because there's more product, it was cheaper. So it always kept a balance. So in 1930, you could have a $20 gold piece in your pocket and have a $20 bill, an IOU, or it would have been a $20 gold or a silver certificate. Okay, let's just say it's a bill. Today, back then, you could buy an outfit for a man: hat, shirt, pants, everything, shoes, cane, everything. You could fill it. Now, today, could you take that $20 bill and buy anything? Well, maybe a pair of shoes, maybe a tie, not much. But with that 1 ounce of gold at $4,000, you could buy a lot. And that's because the amount of time it takes to make clothing now is so little. We go to Vietnam, we have them paid very little expensive also. That's why the clothing is so cheap today, because there's very little labor time in it. So now you can have that same value of the gold is what keeps value. So for all that time, we didn't have any inflation. I believe the Federal Reserve created the Depression on purpose. Now, it's well known that they raised the interest rates. You can look it up, and they all say, but what was the next step? The next step was to put banks out of business. And we know that a lot of banks went out of business. Well, what would happen? Back in 1913, when they conspired to create this Federal Reserve to make it sound like government, when it's like Federal Express, it's not government at all. It's a corporation made in Puerto Rico by the wealthy, which is going to be the Rothschilds. So they hatched this whole plan out. So by 1930, they finally had enough power to then shut down the economy, put all the banks out of business except them. They could either absorb them or just put them out of business. Now they had control. That's when they instituted this thing I'm talking about. It's called fractional banking. So you sign a promissory note and then they write numbers. So if you're the wealthy and your employees at the Federal Reserve in Congress are doing your bidding for you, you're going to have them create inflation. Because you know if you buy a house today, later you're going to sell it for more money than you buy another house and sell it later. It's always going to go up. You also take loans out today because you pay them back cheaper. For example, my wife was a nurse and she came out of nursing school with student loans. It was $100 a month. She was paid $15 an hour to start, and that was 7 hours of her work. A few years later, with more credential and per diem, she was paid $25 an hour. So it only took her 4 hours of labor to pay it back. So she had the advantage of making more money. So if you know inflation is going to happen, you create it because you're going to make profit out of it. So that's what's happening. It's destroying our country. And that's why your notes don't have the value anymore, because every day they're inflating it by creating more of this fiat money by having you sign a promissory note. You have to sign that first. If you didn't sign a promissory note, you don't have a debt. You don't have a loan. So you don't owe the money. There is no money to owe.
Wow. So this brings a whole new meaning to my signature carries cachet. My signature is the value. Because without signing that promissory note, you're telling me that I don't owe these people anything, and these letters that they're sending me is like fraud, based off of fraud. And all I have to do is pretty much just ask them where my signature is. Is that what I'm hearing?
No, not necessarily that. I am not arguing for bills of exchange or these kind of things. My argument is basically accounting, and it comes from business. So if you don't have an invoice, you don't have a debt. And so I was told very early, never pay from a statement. So when you get a bank-issued alleged credit card statement, it's not a bill. You get a normal checking account statement, and is that a bill? No, it just shows what you started with, your deposits, your checks, your debits, other fees, and your pending balance. It's the same thing with your bank-issued credit card statement, but you think it's a bill. So let's run this thing through, okay? You get a credit card from Bank of America. You apply, you're approved, and you get it, okay? Or it came in the mail. You didn't even approve, you're pre-approved. You didn't even apply. It doesn't matter. So what would you happen today if, Eric, if I sent you through Bank of America a gift card of $500? What would you want to buy today, right now, with $500? Right. Perfect. So you go to a store to buy some recording equipment, and you pull out your Bank of America gift card. See, if you say credit card, you're using the language of the criminal. We don't use that word. It's a gift card because they gave it to you. You didn't buy it. You didn't borrow it. How'd you get it? You applied. Apply means to ask. So that's why I said, if you ask for a loan and they turn you down, you don't get the loan because it's only a request. It's not a promissory note. It's not a contract. A application means to ask. All you do is asking. So you asked and they mailed you without any evidence, without any verification, no promise to pay it back. So they sent you a gift card. You go to the store and you use your gift card to buy your electronic equipment. You're walking out the door and they say, wait a second, did you pay for that? And you have a receipt. Am I right? Am I right?
Wow. Yes.
You have a receipt, right? So who owns that equipment? Tell me who owns that equipment. You have the receipt.
Whoever holds the receipt.
Right. You own that electronic equipment. The store doesn't because they were paid. And who paid that store that night or the next day? Now, remember, it came from Bank of America.
Bank of America.
Bank of America paid them.
Bank of America.
Where did Bank of America get the money from? Their advertising. Their advertising budget. Hey?
They are a regular freaking business.
Well, think about this. Banks want you to be a customer, right? So years ago, they purchased toasters and wall clocks and put them into their bank. Your mom went into that bank and they said, oh, if you open an account today, we'll give you a wall clock. Your mom's quite savvy. She says, how about a toaster? If you open up a second one, we'll give you a toaster. Great. So your dad comes home from work, sees a brand new toaster and a brand new wall clock and knows it's tough times. How do we afford this? Given to you? A bank? Who? Why would the bank? To be a customer. You went, okay. So there was an ad in the paper and it said, come into our bank and deposit $25 and we'll match it in 90 days. So what did I do? I took my $25, went into the bank and opened a savings account, left it there for 91 days, went into the bank and withdrew $50 and closed the account. I got a question for you, Eric. Did I rip off the bank? Now remember, I put 25 in and I'm walking out with 50. So I'm walking away with $25 of the bank's money. Did I rip off the bank?
It sounded like they stayed true to their offer. So no,
Right.
You didn't rip off anybody.
The deal. Right. Was that immoral? Was that immoral? Meaning, did I steal from them? Is that immoral what I did to them?
And see, that's a tricky question because we talk about criminals here. Can you steal from criminals? But
Yeah,
morally, I wouldn't want that happening to me. I wouldn't want somebody doing that to me.
Right. So you would have not set it up, say, come in 90 days, knowing some people are going to walk out with 91 days and walk out with the money, right? It's just cost of doing business. It's just the way it is, right? So there in the show notes, the fourth link is a guy on YouTube that says, do that. I've made $361. So find a bank that matches it, deposit it, and you'll make money. So he's promoting it, and I don't think it's immoral, but some people do. That's fine. So, but that's the question: is that immoral? And I think it wasn't. So I walked out with the bank's money. It's the same thing when you apply for a $500 credit card with Capital One. They'll give you the card. Remember that words? They gave me the card. You didn't buy it. You didn't borrow it. You didn't steal it. They mailed it to you. So they gave you the card. That's called a gift card. So they gave you a gift card, all right? And you used the card at the electronics store and you bought $500 and that's your property. Now here's a question for you. At the end of the month, are you going to get a statement from the electronics store saying you have an outstanding unpaid invoice?
No,
because they're paid. You own it.
right?
But you get a
Right.
bank-issued alleged credit card statement from Bank of America, and it looks like you owe them money. That's the fraud.
Wow.
See?
Wow. So the bank isn't even a merchant. No invoice exists. Like first, is to take a time to explain to my audience what GAAP terms are. That way they know where my next question is leading to.
Sure. GAAP is Generally Accepted Accounting Principles. or practices. So it's done. If it's done this way, it's done everywhere. So first of all, GAAP says you do not pay from a statement. You only pay from an invoice, right? And it's a general accounting principle. So you have an advertising budget. It's got to be used for advertising. You can't start investing. It's a different category of things. So generally accepted accounting practices force you to follow what is done by accounting. That's why I'm saying don't believe me. Take with this podcast to your CPA, someone who knows accounting and GAAP. So have them tell you I'm right. One, the bank does not have an invoice. Two, they don't have a promissory note. You never promise to pay it back, and that makes it not a loan because they have to have that by federal banking regulations. That's how they make the whole system work for inflation to make us poorer every day is by doing this fractional banking system.
So how do they even document the transaction?
Well, they document it because they put $500 from their advertising budget in an account, and they send you that gift card. Okay, they run it through the merchant, runs it through their system, so the bank pays them $500 out of that account. That account now is zero, right? So they put $500 from their advertising budget into a checking account and issued a gift card, which I would call it. You could call it a credit card, and you'll never win the argument. So it's truly a gift card, and they gifted it to you. You then used it like you should, and you got $500 of stuff, and then they sent you a statement saying where your $500 went, and that's perfectly true. You spent it at the electronics store, but they tricked you into thinking that you had to pay them back. For what? You don't have to pay them back. But you're a good person. You're a moral person. You've been lied to. You've been indoctrinated. You've been brainwashed. And so you write a check out from Bank of Houston. You write a check from Bank of Houston to Bank of America. Now, isn't that the first time Bank of America has ever seen your money?
The first time.
It's the first time. So remember, when you have no money and you go into a bank, you want to come out with money through a loan. When you take money and put it into a bank, it's a loan to the bank. And that's in your first show link. So you sent $500 and they had an empty account with zero with your name not on it because they didn't know where this card. They'd send them out to anybody and everybody, right? So you wrote a check out for $500. They linked your name to that account. They put your $500 into that account. Every purchase made since then has been with your own money.
Wow.
You have funded your own free checking account. And they make you think that you owe them money. And if you don't put $500 in there, they're going to charge you interest. What? They're going to charge you overdraft fee. What? Late fee. What? And a cash advance fee. You go into a bank and you have $500 in your checking account. Oh, no, sir, we can't give you cash. We're going to charge you 10%, and you got to pay that every month. No, it's my money. So that's the trick. And what the whole story is $23. Look it up yourself. Ask the internet. What's the average person pay on credit card fees? That's $23.04. So Bank of America has 1 million card holders. They're bringing in $23 million a month. And I figured it out. It's about 1/4 of their profits by charging people money for a free checking account.
I'm in the wrong business. I'm in the wrong. Wow. And that's money that they don't even have to work for. Like you say, no goods, no services, just existence. That's it. Now, okay, so look here. This sounds good. This sounds really, really good. I've been hearing a lot of this type of stuff for the past 15, 20 years. Haven't really seen too many people take any of this stuff too far. But can you show me like a real world example, like an actual document or case where your linguistic approach led to debt elimination?
Oh, sure. It's very, very simple. First of all, if I'm saying that you're a crime victim, so where's the evidence? You have to have evidence, right?
Right.
Your credit report. So a lady had her daughter watch a previous podcast and said, hey, Mom, this guy might be able to help you. She contacted me through Facebook, and it was only about 3 days ago. She's got a $12,000 lawsuit against her. She's trying to do bills of exchange. She's trying to say that you don't really own the debt. And I told her that if you stand in front of the judge and the judge says, ma'am, did you get a benefit? Did you get a gain out of this? And what is she going to say? Yes, I got all this stuff. Well, you owe the money, lady. I don't care if this guy doesn't have title connection. I don't care about that because I know this attorney for the last 15 years. He's here every day doing credit card debt every day, and you're the same people that make these same crazy arguments. It's lunacy. I don't care. You owe the money. Bang. You're done. What I said to her is that you're a victim. So today she's filing a counter lawsuit against the bank. She, first of all, had to get her credit report, and it showed charge off. There's the evidence of a crime. She has sent letters because the government shut down. There are 4 government websites that you can't use right now because of the shutdown. But she sent letters to them because they oversee comptroller of the currency, the Federal Reserve, and they're open. But the other banks, and to the Attorney General to file complaint to the FTC. So now she has evidence that she is a victim because now she can keep that as a record. She sent a letter to the bank yesterday asking them to close the account and show it as in good standing. She's filing her counter lawsuit today with an injunction. Injunction? People didn't know what that was, but now everybody knows. Trump does one thing, and what do? Run into court, file an injunction, and stops everything. Am I right? We're going to do the same thing. So she's filing not only the counter lawsuit, so if they dismiss the lawsuit, it doesn't matter. Her lawsuit continues. So we want to send this before the bank says a lawsuit, because they will see that, if we sue you, you're going to sue us back. You're going to do this injunction. So the injunction says to the judge, they're bothering me to the point that you have to stop their behavior. 1, they have to prove that they have a debt. So we want the bank to send you, judge, a copy of the outstanding invoice, which they don't have, a certified copy of the promissory note for the loan. And we're asking them for an affidavit of debt. Someone inside the bank is going to have to swear on a Bible with a penalty of perjury, and they're telling the judge that you owe money, and they have the ability to prove it. And if they don't do that in 30 days, they are held in contempt of court. It stops everything. So banks don't want this. That's why when I sued them in federal court, they deleted off my credit report because I had no evidence of a crime. I couldn't come back and prove it. It's gone. What debt? They're going to say. I'm suing you because you think I owe you money. Well, where's on your credit report? Nowhere. Well, then where's the debt? So same thing is going to happen to her. So in about 10, 15 days, I expect her to have a dismissal with the agreement that she will dismiss her counterclaim with prejudice, so she can never come back to them, and they can't ever come back to her, and there'll be no 1099-C. This is important for me to explain very quickly. If you borrow $100,000 from a bank and you don't pay them back, they notify the IRS of a $100,000 gain, and you have to pay $35,000, $45,000 in taxes. They then have the evidence of a loss of a loan, and now they can take a tax deduction. So that's what they're doing, tax fraud on all these bank-issued alleged credit card debt. They are claiming to the IRS that these losses, it's never a loan. So they are not paying their taxes, they're not paying their fair share through fraud. So in my pleading, I said, if you file a 1099-C, I'm going to file a 3949-A. So having a dad who's a CPA, the IRS is part of my DNA. So a 3949-A is a form you fill out to notify the IRS of a fraudulent filing. So the bank will be will be committing fraud, a tax fraud. So they definitely don't want to do that. So that's what she sent to the bank yesterday with a letter. And today she's going to court to file a counter complaint and her injunction. So this and a brick of discovery. That attorney is going to look at 50 pages and going to go to the bosses at $500 an hour, 40, that's $20,000, and you're suing her for 12. And we're not going to win because we don't have it. We're going to be held in contempt of court. We don't want to go through it. We don't want this to be known. So dismiss the case because everybody knows they've been brainwashed. You have a debt. There's no argument. No one goes to court and argues this because what's your argument? You got a debt? Yes, I got a debt. Well, then You owe the money. Judgment. Boom. This way, you're not in debt. You are a victim of crime.
Man, looky here. Looky here. Man, I like it's clicking. I'm gonna tell you right now, it's clicking. I see it. But coming from the background that I come from, I come from being from the streets in and out of courthouses and stuff like that. I know that it's very expensive to fight these people in their venues, in their arenas. How is it that regular people like me can be able to utilize this and not go broke at the same time?
You got that right. We don't want to go to court. It's not our favorite place to be. We will win, but then that's what you say. It's the time, it's the effort, it's the money it's going to cost you. So why I can take somebody right now who's going, wait a second, I don't have a debt with a bank, but he's saying it's a credit card and it's not immoral to take the gift. Well, maybe I'll take the gift. And then now what? So we have that solution. They could be in a lawsuit. Like I said, the lady had been sued. And or it could be a judgment. You've already got your garnishment of wages of a credit card debt. It's not a debt. I can help you. Okay. So if you don't want to go to court, it's not our friend. And that's why we set this all up by, first of all, having you be the evidence of a victim by your credit report, notifying the agencies that oversee the banks of a crime. Then you send a letter to the bank, asking them to close your account in good standing. And they will close your account, but you got to take the money out. That's the problem. See, in a normal checking account, they say, "Oh, Eric, sorry to see you leave. Here's your $3.15 still in your checking account." They make it zero. They can't close the account out unless it's zero. Not with these. The banks keep your money. So if you hear about someone's credit limit lowered down, there is no credit limit. They stole money out of your checking account. Oh, they closed my account today. No, they stole all of your money out of the account, and now they're coming after you for more. So these people are insatiable. These people are criminals. So you have to protect yourself. So that's what you do is you then send that letter to the bank, ask them to close the account, which they will, and max out your card is not the right terminology, but that's what people understand. It's taking your money out of your account first, then write the letter because you won't get that money back. And that's where then they will close the account and do it properly, you're fine. And I'll teach you how to turn right around, reapply, because they want you to be a customer. They want that $23.04. They're going to give you another credit card. But now I'll teach you who you're dealing with and the risk you were taking. And you got to have a credit card to get an airline ticket. You got to have one to rent a car. So about 13 years ago, the wife said, get out and take the dog with you, and became homeless on purpose. I took a vow of poverty for 10 years. I don't have it now, but I did then. So I had no credit score and no history. And I needed a credit card, so I applied to Capital One. And they gave me a $500 credit card. The important word is they gave. It's a gift. So my score went from 0 to 525. I went to a small credit union, got a little loan. It's being paid every month. So I jumped to 625. I used 10%, $50 every month, never carry a balance, always pay it off. And now my score is in the 700s. But you got to have a credit card to rent a car. You got to have one to do an airline ticket. You got to have one. You got to have a credit score for an apartment. You got to have a credit score for a job. So I'll teach you how to get your score high up, and then again, and that can happen. So you are a victim, not a debt. You do not owe in this bank any money at all.
Man, look here. It sounds like the more I hear is the more I'm hearing about this language, words, spellings. These people seem to be wizards and warlocks and witches and stuff like that, casting all these spells with these words and stuff. How, like, will us learning these spells help us to fight off, let's take this Harry Potter, black magic versus white magic. Would that help us in that aspect?
In one sense, what we're all doing is it's the words. And so I wrote a little thing. I'll send it to you by email. And anybody contacted me, I have a free consultation. And that lady that contacted me a couple of days ago, I sent her my book for free. So I have a $69 book. I'll send it to you for free just for contacting me. And I will send you Law is Language. And here's all the words that you don't want to use because it's a criminal language. And here's the words that are truthful words. So it's you got to know the language or you're never going to win this argument. So, and you don't have to be an expert at all. I have it all done. Just click, and the information's in and out it goes. If you want me to do something for you, I can do that too. or from the book, you can figure it out yourself. You're a smart person. So let me take you down another road. Let me take you down another different road. Let's say, Eric, today you buy one share of stock of Bank of America. Okay. You are now a shareholder. It's now in your interest to make money from this bank, right? It's
Right.
your bank. It's your money. Isn't that a different way of thinking?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
When you have a share of stock, it's your bank, it's my money. So let me ask you three questions. One, would you want your bank to loan out your money to people who can't pay it back?
No.
No.
No. This
Would
ain't a
you want
charity.
your bank to loan your money to people who don't even have an income? No. Last question. Would you want your bank to loan out your money to people who don't even promise to pay it back?
I mean, thank you
There's
for
no
being honest, but no, I'm not. I'm not giving you no money. You ain't gonna pay it
No,
back.
no, not. So you see, that's where you take it. Tommy, you're wrong. Okay, fine. I'm completely crazy. Fine. Where am I wrong in the facts? Disagree with my facts. So you're going to tell me that the bank has an invoice. They have an outstanding unpaid invoice for something they did for you. Okay. Oh, they have a loan. You signed a promissory note. Okay, fine. What can I do with that? You think you signed a promissory note? Well, I applied. Again, language is law. Law is language. Application means to request. It's not a promise. Promise means I promise to pay it back. That's why they call it a promissory note. And fraud undoes all contracts. You don't think so? Fine. I have a house I will sell you that has toxic waste in the back. You move in, your family's going to die, and you're going to tell me the judge is going to say, oh, you have to stay there for 30 years. You got to keep paying him, even though he didn't disclose the toxic waste. Disclosure
Mm.
undoes all contracts because you're not coming up front and being honest and truthful. So the bank is not truthful telling you that it's a gift card to get you to be a customer because they're going to charge you $23 for a free checking account with the annual fee, with the overdraft fee, and the cash advance fee, and the interest. They're all sucking you dry because it's 1/4 of their profit. Well, if you do this, the whole system's going to crash. No, the bank is not going to get 1/4 profits for crimes that they don't want
Right.
admitted, that they don't want anybody to know about. So, okay.
I mean, if we're not gonna bother them because the whole system will crash, why are we dealing with the drug game? I mean, let the people sell their drugs. That's gonna crash. I mean, one crime is a crime. A crime is a crime is a crime, and it needs to be stopped. And for what I'm hearing here, man, it's like you are the Elliot Ness of the banking industry. You are actually going after these mobsters, these banksters, and you're putting them in a place, man. You've been interviewed by over 60 different hosts. Which conversation finally made a skeptic start to see your side?
Well, it's been over 125 in the last 4 months. So yes, I have been
Shoot.
interviewed, and go and watch the interviews over and over and over again. You're going to see a consistency. I consistently say the same, and I invite you to bring your attorney. How many scammers want you to bring your attorney? So I'm happy to talk to an attorney because they're brainwashed, but I have to have your CPA or someone who's had one class of accounting to tell the CPA you don't pay from a statement because the attorney doesn't know banking, doesn't know accounting. They know law, and they have been lied to, indoctrinated, and brainwashed. They go every day, they see the same argument, and these people come up and say crazy things like bills of exchange, or you don't have the continuity of ownership. The judge says, did you get a gain? Yes. There you go. It's too bad. I know this guy for the last 15 years. He's not going to lie to the court. So everything's all rigged against you. So that's why we don't want to go to court. But if we are taken to court, we have an answer back. So we countersue them. We file the injunction, and we also are able to do the discovery, which then shows them like, you took a bite. We're the puffer fish. The big fish bites the puffer fish. We pop out. Oh, ow, ow, ow. And they pop us out. So they don't want to take a bite of us.
Wow. Man, look, okay, so to quote one of my favorite reggae artists, this is the shit stem. Not the system, but the shit stem. You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, you told me to take my book, take your book. I'm going to get your book and I'm going to take it to my CPA. What's the one question I should ask them that could shake their confidence in this whole shit stem?
It is so funny. It is in the chapter called Act one, scene one. And this is what happened to me, and it's happened to my CPA expert witnesses. So some of my clients had a lot, and so the bank was pushing back. So I brought the expert witness, and they would get up on a stand. And so here's the story. Why the attorneys have always stabbed me in the back, which I thought was just their nature, which is a scorpion, if you know the scorpion, a dog story. So yeah, it's their nature. So they stabbed me in the back because they were going to go in front of a judge, and the judge was going to say, Mr. Attorney, representing the defendant of the credit card debt, do you have a credit card? Yes, Your Honor. Do you make charges on it? Yes, Your Honor. Do you pay them payment every month? Yes, Your Honor. And what if you didn't pay it? Well, I'd be probably sued and in front of you. Exactly. That's why I'm going to recommend that you be disbarred. You have brought a fraud to the court, and you have deceived your client. You've taken money. Well, it's pro bono. I don't care if it's free. You are giving the impression to this lady that she doesn't owe the money. We can't have this in the system. So then he has to say, Judge, does she have a day in court? Okay, let's see where this goes. First witness is the CPA. That's why I want you to send this book to your CPA. Say, read this chapter. They're going to put themselves in that seat being asked. Now, the judge asked me if I have a credit card. Do I have a credit card? No. I thought I had a credit card. I'm wrong. You are absolutely wrong. How am I wrong? You are wrong because the bank is not a merchant. Merchants offer cred, is a Latin word, means believe. The merchant believed you were going to pay them back, so they let you walk out of their store with their product, or they did a service for you. And there's an invoice, and that shows the debt. It's a debt instrument. So the bank does not have that. Well, then they loaned me the money. I'm sorry, they didn't loan you the money because you have to sign a promissory note. It's federal banking regulations to get the scam happening since the 30s to do this fractional banking system where you sign a promissory note first, then they write numbers in the account. So there's never any loan. The banksters never loan any of their money out. They never risk any of their money. So that's what the book is so instrumental to that CPA, and just say, is this guy right? Not if you would do it, because, oh, yeah, I have a credit card, I'll pay it every month. Okay, fine. But I don't care about it. It's the people who have been deceived and lied to that have now been in a terrible situation. So I'm here as a victim rights advocate. You are not getting out of debt. You are getting out of being a victim of a crime.
Wow. Man, there's so many victims. There's so many of us victims out here, man. It's very hard to even, a lot of people don't even want to see themselves as a victim. Like, what do you see to those people who are just so gung-ho, die hard to, not that they don't want to believe that these people are criminals, but they don't want to believe that they have been taken advantage of.
Yes, and that's a funny thing you say that. I think it was Mark Twain who said it's easier to fool people than to convince people they've been fooled. So I am in that position. So I have the pushback of going, no, it doesn't feel right. Fine, you've got a debt, pay it. I don't mind. I'm not telling you to get out of debt. I'm just saying you're a crime. I'm not a crime victim. Okay, fine, bye. I'm not here to convince you. But if you want me to talk to your attorney, I'd be happy to talk to your attorney, because now I can get to their my best client. My best client is a company with $500, $700, $1 million of credit card debt, they think, right? And their vice president is an attorney, and their CFO is a CPA. That's the people I want to talk to. So I come into their office, and I find out their whole board of directors have maxed out all their cards trying to keep this company going. It would function if they didn't have this alleged credit card debt. So I have them have a meeting with all their employees. First thing, the attorney gets up and says, we are a victim of a bank fraud. Sits back down. The CFO, the CPA, gets up and said, folks, we have been lied to and doctored and brainwashed to think that we have a debt. We don't have a debt with the bank, and we don't have a loan. And so back to the attorney. Fraud undoes all contracts. So we are writing a letter to the bank. We have one here for Bank of America, one here for Citibank, Bank of Tokyo, Bank of London, and if you want to put your name on this, first of all, go max your card out. It's not max your card out, but take the money out of the account first. Then put your name here and put the account number, and we're going to mail this to the bank. And from our attorney, with all the legalese stuff, and off it goes to the bank. And in 45 days, it will be on your credit report that says closed by consumer in good standing, because we want that as good credit. History is good credit. And then you say, it's not going to work. They're not going to do that. Fine. The ones that don't do this, we have the letter to the credit reporting agency, and by law, they have to remove it off the credit report. So it's going to hurt your credit score, but we're here to teach you how to get your score back up again, and you'll be able to reapply to get another credit card. I know it's crazy, but they're going to give it to you because they want the $23.04. They're whores. They are criminally whores. So you got to be careful of these people.
Yes, I know some whores. They sound like some whores too, man.
They're doing it for the
That
money.
is exactly what some whores to do. Exactly, man. Look, you have been doing, it sounds like some amazing work, helping people who have been victimized and taken advantage of by people who supposed to have our best interests at
Yeah,
heart.
right.
What is it like? What is your deeper goal, man? What is your what is it like? Do you want legal reform, financial independence, spiritual freedom from illusion? Like, what is it that you're looking for the American people, or just people in general?
I'm glad you asked that, because on the farm, I then found myself out in the real world, and I didn't have any money. So I was given food stamps, and I was given $300 a month so I could buy that the groceries. I also went to the food bank, and they gave me 65 pounds of food. I'm talking fresh vegetables, fresh fruit, meat, refrigerated food, frozen food, pasta, canned food, unbelievable amount of food. So I made some rice, which is like a cup, and the vegetables, and I had to eat it for 2 days, 6 meals. I was eating the same thing. I'm going, gosh, if I just have some friends that would do the same for me, we'd have more food than we could handle, right? So that's my whole idea, is a free revolution. There's a guy on YouTube, his name's Myron Golden, and he put out a video on it's easier now to become wealthy. It's easier now to be rich than ever before in history. Okay. And his argument is that in the agricultural revolution, if you owned land, you were rich, you were wealthy, and if you didn't, you were poor. Then 1750 came along with the Industrial Revolution and created a middle class, but now you had to ask for permission. So now if a worker, you're just making money. Go to school, get a job as a manager. Then you don't have to work so hard. Tell other people what to do, right? So then the distribution revolution in the 50s, because you had all these products, how do you distribute them? And that's by Sam Walton and his supermarket stores, right? Then in the 70s, you had the computer revolution, because Sam Walton needed to know, when do I reorder? And that was a big impetus on getting a personal computer. So the computer revolution happened. More millionaires were made then than in the distribution, than in the agricultural. 2000 came along with the information revolution, and then 2015 with the infotainment. I say there's a free revolution that's happening today, okay? Everybody wants everything for free. Free shipping, free Wi-Fi, sugar-free, cholesterol-free, everything people want for free. So I figured out how to become wealthy by giving free food away.
Wow. And it's done wonders. I mean, I like the fact that nobody had this information 60 years ago, 10 years ago, 5 years ago, this information, it wasn't even pertinent. It wasn't even out there. Now we're seeing people that's actually coming together and starting to investigate and look at it. Wait a minute, this don't seem right. Like, and the one thing that I want to actually use as a sound, I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm gonna use this as a sound bite, because I think this is a very important part of this. I have not heard you use race once. This is a inclusive fight. Am I correct?
Well, the definition of the guy who came up with the word race was a racist. There was a guy back in the 1800s that was looking at bones, trying to figure out different people. And of course, he's a racist, so he's a white guy trying to prove that the white people are superior. But you can't tell from the bones. So if you look at the skull, some people have a flatter face, and you could say, well, that's Asian, Chinese. It happens in every race. So he came up with the idea of these different races to prove that white people were right. So if anybody uses the word race, they're actually using it from a racist. There is no race. You can't tell the difference of body. There's ethnicity, but that's kind of like where you live or where you kind of brought up with. So there's a certain kind of attitude and things like that. but there is no race. So there's a human race. We're all one. We're all together. So, and that's the whole thing. By having, let's say, a church, just to make it simple, a church of 100 people who are poor, who get food stamps, they get $300, let's say, they get $30,000 a month to go to to Costco or to Sam's Club, and they can buy food. You can do that with your EBT card. They also go to the food bank, and each of them gets 65 pounds of food a week. We're talking 6,500 pounds. They can go to a second pantry and get 13,000. We're talking 13,000 pounds of food a week, plus $30,000 to buy food. There's going to be more food than they can handle. In their church, they have a commercial kitchen. So now they're cooking meals for people, and all we can do is charge $10 for a reservation. Because the food is free, we're giving the food away for free. It's just we need to stagger you so you don't all come in at once. So you pay $10 and you can use your EBT card. No, you can't do that for finished good, processed food. Yes, if they buy a grocery bag of vegetables from you, you can swipe their EBT card and they could say, oh, would you use these vegetables on my meal? Be happy to. Come on in. So you sit down for a 5-course meal. We're talking an exquisite appetizer, cheeses from around the world that you get at Costco, and olives and pickles and all kinds of delicious things. And then you have 4 kinds of soup. There's going to be a meat soup, a fish soup, a vegetable soup, even any kind of soup. And then you have 4 kinds of salad, and you have an entree with fresh vegetables and a dessert. And if you say, supersize me, guess what? We give you another one for free because it's free food. There's more food than we can handle. So for $10, for $300 a month for your EBT card, you can have a hot meal every day, 2 meals and high quality, more food than you can eat. So you take it back to your phone. We don't care. But the 100 people are the first founding members, so they go fishing. They bring fish back, and that's part of our fish soup. They grow garden food, and they raise animals. And anybody who wants to be involved can also be involved too. You can make $5,000 a day giving away free food, and that would be great for a church or any group of people that want to get together. I use church because they have the same mindset, and they're kind of together, so that it's a good cohesion. So that's what I want, is a cohesive group to come together, and we can also have free housing, and you can be a multimillionaire because the Bible wants you to be wealthy. You don't want to be poor because let me tell you a story. My son, he was like 5 years old, and we had a friend that had a daycare. So I put him there just for a few hours of some relief from me and mom, right? So I went by one time, and she had the kids all sitting in a circle, and she was passing a penny. So the kids passed a penny. Then all of a sudden there was 2 pennies to pass. Pretty soon there was 3 pennies. Pretty soon there were handfuls of pennies. And pretty soon they're having scooping pennies up to hand to the next person. They're all falling. They're all laughing, having a great time because she kept introducing more and more pennies, right? So then she said, everybody stop, hold a penny. How many do you have? They all would say 1. Right. Pass the penny, you get many. Hold the penny, you don't get any. So the whole point of us is to take this currency, this river flowing by the banks of the river. So take this river bank of currency and flow it to where it's got to go. So I'm flowing it to the farmers here in Philippines. I'm teaching them how to build a dome house with bamboo. So when we have a flood, one just happened yesterday. So part of my family's crops are gone. So if their house was taken away, we would quickly build an 24-foot, 8-meter dome in less than an hour because we had the bamboo, we cut it, drill a hole, and we would zip ties. There's no tools needed. And we would have a house, we'd have a greenhouse, we'd have things like that. I'm here to teach them vertical farming to stop the flood. You don't have to bend over and worry about a flood wiping out crops. We can have more crops vertically than you're growing horizontally. And then also a free self-managed medical care clinic. Because when I was in Maine, there was a lot of problem with the opioids. And so I have a real connection there. And I want to go there and take the men who are coming out of prison, nonviolent, of course. And so I detoxify their body, detoxify their mind. But if I let them go back in, they're going to be back in again. So I'm going to Argentina to buy a farm, to bring them to that farm and let them be there and how to be men, how to grow their own food, how to build their own house, how to dig a well, and how to do protection and how to do first aid and how healing. And this is where men can learn how to be a man, get a new life, a new name, and a new wife if they want. So with a conditional pardon I can get from the judge, they don't want these people in our community. That was what I found out. They don't want them there. So I'll take them out if they want to leave and have them in 2 years have a passport in Argentina. Because if you invest $7,000 in an import-export business, in 2 years, you get a passport. So now they don't have to come back to America. They can create a community of themselves. So that's when you say, what am I up to? That's what I'm here. That's what I'm up to and doing.
So where I sign up? Where do I put my name at? Because yeah, that is beautiful. That right there is exactly the mindset that I love to have around me. That is when you're talking about building, that's how you build. People be trying to build and trying to gain millions of dollars and doing it unethically or immorally, or they think that that's building. That's not building. What you just said was the stipulation of what building is supposed to be. And I gotta applaud you on that. I'm gonna take a minute. I know I'm supposed to be acting like I don't believe or whatever, but I gotta applaud you on that one, man, because that is the route. That is the route that I wish more of us would actually take. Because if more of us are doing exactly what you're doing right now, then we will be able to actually take hold of our own destinies. And if we can take hold of our own destinies from these banksters slash gangsters slash everybody else, then we would see a radical change in the world for the positive, for the better. And that's exactly what we at Reggae Hour love to push. So I am so glad I had you on here tonight. Thank you so much for joining us here.
Yep. And if you can do me a favor, can you play Ika Mouse? I love reggae. I love the artist Ika Mouse. Ganja.
Yes, it is. Yes. Oh, okay. And you know I got you. Stay tuned for everybody listening right now because we're going to be playing Ika Mouse Ganja after this. But before we actually get out of here, I just want to say your knowledge, your experience is a breath, is like a breath of fresh air. It is a God sent to us down here that are wondering why we are struggling, wondering why we're putting our best foot forward, but for some reason we're being pushed 2 steps back. It makes so much sense now. And I just got to say, tell. I'm gonna give you a minute to tell the world what you have in store for the near future, and what and you already told us what you got for the far future, and I love that. That's a sound bite. But tell us what you got going on for the near future that they can be looking forward to.
Well, that's what I do. I'm inviting you and anybody listening to me to participate. I'm going to share. I'm not looking for a dollar. I'm retired. I have my pension. So all I'm trying to do is give. And that's what love means in Hebrew. It means I give. And Jesus taught two new commandments is love and mercy. And mercy means extreme kindness. So I just want to offer to you and to all your listeners extreme kindness. I'm here as a pioneer, and the pioneers get all the arrows shot in them. So I'm a pachyderm, so I can handle it. So that's what I would do is encourage this and spread this idea far and wide, and I'll give it to you. It's a gift from me to you. Just do something good for someone else. That's all I'm asking you to do. And that's what I'm doing here in the Philippines, and I'm going to be doing it in Argentina, and then back to America. So it'd be like a trip every 4 months. I'll be traveling.
Oh man, my wife lived in the Philippines when she was a young, and so she was actually kidnapped by monkeys when she lived out there in the Philippines. So we may be visiting because she loves with that Stockholm syndrome.
I'll give you a tour.
All right.
Oh yeah.
Oh man, Tommy, man, I came into this conversation sure that your ideas were too radical to hold water, but somewhere between law is language and no invoice, no debt, man, you sparked my curiosity and it turned into responsibility. And I'm definitely gonna check into this for myself, but you got me. You got me. Now, to all my listeners, whether you believe them or not, Tommy forces us to face one question. How much of what you call truth is just well-written policy? So I want to make sure that y'all visit reggaehour.com so you can hear the whole interview and make sure you read excerpts, read the show notes, and make sure that you understand that we can't just forgive and forget. We can forgive, but we can't forget. We got to actually take action so that we can get out of this issue that we are facing every day. Now, before we leave, Tommy, tell us, how can we get in touch with you?
Oh, it's really simple. Just Tommy A. Kilpatrick on Facebook. And in the show notes, I have my email, but that's the easiest way to reach me. And so I'm retired, so I have plenty of time. So let's talk. Let's have some fun.
Definitely, definitely. So make sure, check out the show notes below, the description below. Reach out to Tommy. Make sure you get your debt taken care of, especially that bank debt. And I'm talking about doing it the right way. Like he said, he ain't out here to save you from that debt you know you need to pay. He's out here to save you from these criminals that is out here trying to take advantage of you and your family. They don't care about your 2-year-old child not having any food tonight. They're not worried about your lights getting cut off. All they worried about is being one of the millions of people that pay $23.40 for that gift card. So make sure you reach out to Tommy right now. Make sure you book a consultation with him right now. Get your finances in order so that we can take this to the man and make him not the man no more. That's all I'm asking. All right, Tommy, it was a blessing having you on here, man. And you are doing the work of the Vokes. So we want to continue to protect you. We want to make sure that you get your word out there. So we're going to be pushing you. We just ask that you don't give up the fight. Keep doing what you're doing. Make it so that the rest of us can get that courage to face these criminals. Thank you so much.
Oh, yeah. You're more than welcome. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.
All right. Have a good night. And everybody, reach out to him. Get it taken care of. Y'all have a good night. This is Reggae Hour. Make sure you check us out on reggaehour.com and all your favorite streaming services, baby. We got you right here.